Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 23 is out and there's a lot of important stuff that happened in this chapter. It was mostly the continuation of Boruto vs Jura, but the highlight of the chapter was Kashin Koji getting a new update or another vision from his Prescience Shinjutsu and Kawaki joining the fight, which are the two most important things we need to talk about in this chapter. Chapter 23 starts off with Mitsuki having defeated a couple of clog rhymes using Sage Mode, which is at that moment that Konohamaru showed up to confirm with Mitsuki that Araya has taken Ryu's thorn bulb and he's currently headed to the location where Shinki was petrified in the clog rhyme tree. They also confirmed that Yodo died on this mission, and they need to make sure that Araya reaches Shinki with that thorn bulb so that her sacrifice won't be in vain. Konohamaru also told Mitsuki that they need to be headed back to the location where they first met up with the Sand Shinobi. He wasn't sure why Boruto insisted that they go back to that location, but he still chose to trust in Boruto, thinking that he has a plan, seeing as that he's also a target of the Shinju. So now it's a bit of the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation. Then the chapter switches back to Boruto and Jura, with Boruto seemingly injured by Jura. It appears as though he was damaged by one of Jura's Biju bombs, but it didn't hit any vital points, although causing some severe damage. Despite being injured and outmatched by Jura, Boruto was still prepared to keep Jura occupied and distracted as long as possible. Jura fired another Biju bomb at Boruto and he used Flying Raijin to evade the attack. The interesting thing about this is that Jura kept on noticing that the drawbacks of his Biju bomb attacks is the lack of accuracy when he fires a shot at Boruto. He kept on thinking to himself if firing at Boruto from a distance is the more effective approach, or he might need to fire from a close range. Jura might just be toying with Boruto the same way he did with Himawari. He's trying to see the extent of his abilities and how he can use them more effectively, almost as if he isn't using his full power or taking the fight seriously. He shot up towards Boruto to try and fire from close range, but Boruto evaded. He then tried to fire a couple more shots, but Boruto evaded them again and threw a kunai towards Jura. This is where we see Boruto using ninja tactics to outsmart Jura. It turns out that the kunai was actually Boruto. He used the transformation jutsu and appeared behind Jura using the kunai, while Jura had his attention on Boruto's shadow clone that was in front of him. Boruto tried to take a slash at him with his sword, but Jura knocked it out of his hand and tried to land an attack on Boruto. Boruto teleported to that falling sword and it gave him an opening to grab his sword and quickly slice off Jura's leg. Jura found that impressive, but it did seem like it agitated him a bit and he started hitting Boruto with multiple attacks, grabbing onto his wrist and attempting to hit him with a Biju bomb from close range. And that's when we get the panel from the official sneak peek where Boruto used purple lightning, disarming Jura but also taking a lot of Boruto's remaining chakra. He was starting to become more sluggish and also making more mistakes. Jura took advantage of that. He landed an attack right to the face, hitting Boruto with his knee, and then a strong gut punch, sending Boruto tumbling to the ground. He attempted to finish him off with his Biju bomb and Boruto teleported away from it, only for Jura to appear behind him and kick him to the ground, finally knocking him out. Out of respect for him, Jura saw it fitting to take him out with one final blow using his Biju bomb. The chapter switches to Ada and Kashin Koji, where Ada is telling Koji that Boruto is about to get killed. It seems like it was at that moment that Koji was getting a new update or omniscient vision with his Prescience Shinjutsu. He saw the timeline getting updated and events of the future changing in front of him. Just as Jura was charging up his Biju bomb about to finish off Boruto, Kawaki appeared and stabbed his Renegan with a chakra rod staff. Kawaki finally has his limiters removed and he is now ready for his rematch with Jura. Koji tells Ada that Boruto changed his fate and altered the future. He assumes that Boruto said something to Kawaki because Kawaki wasn't supposed to be there when Boruto gets killed by Jura. The future was rewritten by Kawaki's appearance. At the location of Mitsuki and Konohamaru, Delta showed up to give them some assistance. Then we switch back to Kawaki and Jura. Jura tries to grab Kawaki but he shrinks himself and appears behind him. Jura then gets hit by multiple chakra rods from Kawaki and Kawaki lands next to Boruto. He starts activating his karma and tells Boruto to keep it together or he's going to kill him on the spot if he loses control. The chapter ends with Kawaki having his karma activated and challenging Jura. So the main things about this chapter is firstly Kashin Koji's Prescience. We are getting more information about how his Shinjutsu works and what triggers it. It seems like every time something happens in the present, that triggers a change in how the future was supposed to unfold. Kashin Koji's Prescience is triggered and he gets an update or a new vision. He starts to see multiple outcomes of how the new future that was created could unfold. This emphasizes that this will never be an ability that Koji can ever control because it depends on how the events of the present are unfolding. No matter how much he tries to intervene, the future isn't guaranteed and cannot be shaped to what he wants it to be. The second point is Jura's full power. For most of his fight with Boruto, it seemed more like he was just testing the limits of Boruto's power as well as trying to see how much he can learn about what he's capable of himself. It wasn't a situation where he was struggling or even using his full power. It seemed more like he was just indulging himself by choosing to fight Boruto. He saw it as an opportunity to get rid of Boruto and to also have some fun by engaging in battle. That makes him a bigger problem than we thought, since there's no indication that he was ever fighting seriously or using his full power. Even with Kawaki having his limiters removed, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be enough to take out Jura, which is why Kawaki activated his karma in preparation to fight Jura. He also knows that his base form won't be enough to take him down. Even Jura himself wasn't worried when he sensed that Kawaki's power is increased exponentially. He just seemed more annoyed than he was worried. It might still require the two of them working together in order to defeat Jura. As for the question of whether or not Kawaki without limiters is stronger than Boruto, it isn't that simple. Even though Kawaki's power is increased tenfold, I'd argue that him and Boruto's base forms are relative to each other in terms of power. You need to consider that even though Boruto had used up a lot of chakra and he was exhausted, he significantly damaged Jura, similar to how Kawaki in his base form took out Jura's Rinnegan. The both of them were able to damage Jura in their base forms. Not to mention, Kawaki's Sukuna Hikona abilities give him a unique advantage where he can sneak attack Jura without being detected. The chakra rods created by Sukuna Hikona can stab someone while being microscopic, and then Kawaki increases their size to cause damage. There's no denying that Kawaki is stronger than Jigen at the moment since he's a perfect vessel, and might also exceed that power in his base form because of his compatibility with the karma. But we have no idea how powerful he is when he accesses the karma's full power by using Karma V2 state with Ishiki's horn. The same goes for Boruto. He can hold his own against Jura in his base form, but we have no idea how much of a boost the karma gives him when it is activated and he is in his Borushiki state. Therefore, it's too early to say which one of them is the strongest, but you can let me know what you think down in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel for more Boruto content, and check out this video that explains how Sarada's Mangekyo is the most powerful doujutsu in the history of the Uchiha.